Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to open up the mental toolkit that your brain is using literally every single second to solve problems. We're going to unpack the powerful processes that help you get through everything, from deciding on your morning coffee to tackling your biggest life challenges. So let's dive right in.
Seriously, just take a second and think about it. From the moment your alarm went off this morning, your brain has been a nonstop problem-solving machine. And I'm not just talking about huge, complicated stuff. That's right, deciding what to eat for lunch, figuring out the quickest way to get to class, even just trying to understand a new topic you're studying. Yep, those are all problems your brain is actively working on. It's this constant, behind-the-scenes activity that pretty much runs your entire life.
So, how in the world does our brain do all of this? Well, to really get a handle on the whole toolkit, we've got to start with the absolute basics, the building blocks of thought itself. At its core, thinking is a really active process. It's not just random ideas floating around in there. Your brain is constantly grabbing information from what you see, hear, and feel, and then it's mixing all that with things you already know, your memories, to cook up new ideas. It's kind of like a chef taking a bunch of ingredients to create a brand new dish. So, with all that information coming in, how does our brain not just get totally overwhelmed? It uses something called concepts. The best way to think about these are like mental filing cabinets. For example, when you see a potato, you don't have to analyze it from scratch every single time. Your brain just instantly files it away in the vegetable category. It's this super efficient system for organizing, well, everything.
Okay, so along with these concepts, our brain needs a way to connect all the dots. That's where reasoning comes in. On the left, you've got deductive reasoning. This is what you might call top-down logic. You start with a big general rule like all exams for this course are on a Friday, and you come to a very specific conclusion. Therefore, my exam is on a Friday. Pretty straightforward. Now, on the right is inductive reasoning, which is basically the opposite. It's bottom up. You gather a bunch of specific clues like, hey, the last 5 exams for this class were on a Friday, to create a general rule. Exams for this class are probably always on a Friday. See the difference? Both are absolutely crucial tools.
All right, let's move on and see how we actually apply these building blocks to tackle specific challenges, head on. This is where our thinking gets really focused. Problem solving is really just thinking with a mission. Let's say your problem is you need to find the shortest route to school. Your goal is to get there on time. And the steps? Well, those are the directions you follow. It's a clear, goal-oriented process we use constantly, often without even realizing it. But we've all been there, right? You're staring at something, maybe a really tough math problem or a tricky part of an essay, and you just feel stuck, completely and totally stuck. The answer feels like it's right there, but you just can't quite grab it. It's one of the most frustrating feelings. You know deep down that your approach isn't working, but for some reason, your brain just keeps going back to it again and again. Well, it turns out there's actually a name for that. It's called a mental set. It's basically when a solution that worked for you in the past creates a kind of mental rut. Your brain gets stuck on that one way of doing things, and it can literally blind you to other, maybe even better solutions that are staring you right in the face. Honestly, the first step to breaking free is just realizing you're in one. This image is the perfect metaphor, isn't it? A mental set really does feel like you're trying to open a brand new door with an old key that just doesn't fit. The most important thing is to recognize you're stuck, so you can stop forcing it and start looking for the right key.
So, what happens when pure logic isn't cutting it and our old solutions fail? This is where we need to pull out a different tool from the kit. We need a different way of thinking, a way to break out of that mental set. We need creativity.
And that's the magic moment, right? That flash of insight, that amazing aha or eureka moment when a solution just pops into your head. It can feel like it came out of nowhere, but it's actually the end result of a pretty cool process. A psychologist named Graham Wallace actually broke creative thinking down into these 5 stages. First, there's preparation. You gather all the info you can. Then comes incubation, and this step is so important. You actually step away from the problem and let your subconscious mind chew on it for a while. That's what leads to illumination, the aha moment. But wait, it doesn't end there. You still have to evaluate the idea to see if it's any good, and then revise it until it actually works. It's a whole cycle.
Okay, so you've used logic, maybe you've had a spark of creativity, and now you have a few potential options on the table. So what happens next? Well, the final part of this whole process is actually making a choice.
Let's use a really practical example here. Imagine you're choosing between a psychology class and a history class. You start weighing the factors. Is the subject interesting? Is the teacher good? And you form a judgment about each of those things. Based on all those little judgments, you finally make your decision. Now, it's really useful to see these as two separate but connected steps. Judgment is all about evaluating your options. It's like you're sizing up all the different doors in front of you. Decision-making is the final act of actually picking a door and walking through it. You judge first, then you decide. And there you have it. This is your mental toolkit. You've got thinking, which is the engine that powers the whole operation. You've got concepts and reasoning, the tools you use to organize all the information. There's problem solving, your direct, logical approach. You have creativity for when you need a totally new idea. And finally, judgment and decision-making, the tools for picking the best path forward. They all work together to help you navigate your world. So the next time you feel stuck or you're facing a big decision, just remember this toolkit you have. Which tool do you really need to pick up right now? Because understanding how your mind works is truly the first step to making it work better for you. The only question left is, what will you build with it?